What's up, my peeps? Glad to have you guys back. The ones that have stuck with me. So, when I first started this channel, it took off pretty good. Um, my viewers, went up pretty fast. I had a lot of views. I even had a couple of videos that went up to like one was like 35,000 views. Well, the other one was like I think 40 something thousand views, and then several thousand likes. Prison stories. I had a lot of good suggestions from followers, like do collabs with some bigger channels, learn how to edit and all that. And I probably should have did all that, but I chose to just stick with my format and just record and upload or whatever. No editing, but like I have a really small window of when I do these videos. Like I've said before, I work two jobs. Right now, I've worked three jobs at one time. Excuse me, but right now I'm just working two. Um, but anyway, like I just want to say thanks again for the ones that have stuck with me, and like I said, I love telling you guys my stories, my experiences. It is gonna be another prison video. Be kind of saving this one. This is like a really good one. Some of the stories that I tell you guys, like I kind of kind of hesitate to tell them just because they're kind of sensitive subjects. And I want to be careful not to offend or disrespect certain groups or organizations. Um, but anyway, this is going to be a story about one of my big homies that I met when I was like about 14. We're gonna call him VR. Those are his initials, right? Um, he was like he was like same age as my one of my older brothers. So he was like I think he was like 3 years older than me. So I was like I think I was like 15 when I met him. So I think he was like maybe like 17 or 18, and he was a pretty big dude. Like he was he was maybe about maybe like about an inch taller than me, and like my way of describing him is I would always say he's built like a freaking rhinoceros, or like a Mexican gorilla, and this dude at one time was like a Golden Gloves boxer, but he because I would later on meet his uncle and I would train at his boxing gym in Phoenix, and but his uncle like didn't like him and like had told me before like not to mention his name or whatever because I guess he was really good at boxing and he just kind of threw it away. Like he just wanted to party, get high and drink and stuff, and I don't know if he did something else that his uncle wouldn't tell me about, but he like didn't even want to like mention his name. But anyway, the way I met him was one day I seen him walking this really just awesome looking pit bull. His name was Hulk, and he just was just like really unique the way he looked. He's like the only pit bull I ever seen that kind of had wolf eyes. Like his eyes were like kind of like a golden color, and he was just really like kind of like I don't even know how to describe the color. It was kind of like a I guess kind of like a tan, but kind of like a goldish color, and just really cool looking dog. Like the way he was like just built, like was just he was a really tough, really cool looking dog, right? Anyway, so like I don't want people to get the wrong idea or whatever, but I found out that well, he told me that he was a champion fighting dog. He used to take him to a small town in Arizona, Eloy, Arizona. I don't know if they're still doing it out there. I don't want to blow up their spot if they are, but they used to do dog fighting out there, pit bulls, right? And like, I don't want some people to trip because I was never involved with that. Like the only thing is like, like I said, I was like 3 years younger than him, so I just thought his dog was so cool, and like, so he told me if I wanted to, I could walk him, and then like I would take him running. Like I would take him, I would ride my bike, and I would take him running, and then like there was like these fields where now they're like full houses, but they were just like these empty fields, right? And I would take him out there, and I would actually take my dog too because I had a female pit bull, and so I would take her out there, and I would just let them run loose, and they would run around and chase jackrabbits and stuff, and so it was like to get them in shape basically. But for me, it was just spending time with the dog and having fun or whatever, right? Um, so like anyway, he ended up going to prison. Trying to remember what he went to prison. Just a bunch of stuff, I think, for slanging, beating up a bunch of people, and then he like resisted arrest and like beat up some cops pretty bad. So he ended up getting like about, I think like about 7 or 8 years in prison, right? So before he like got locked up, while he was like, I don't remember if he was like, doing his court or whatever. But he told me I could keep his dog, and he told me keep him for me, but basically he knew he was going away for such a long time that he was gonna be my dog, from then on. So I ended up keeping the dog for him, and so like I didn't keep in touch with him while he was locked up. I just kind of went about my business, and like I've said in other videos. I ended up going to the military, like maybe about a year after I graduated from high school. I did like a year and a half at junior college, and I went to military. When I got back from my reserve training from boot camp and AIT, I ended up going to junior college, and then I ended up becoming a corrections officer, right? So while he was locked up in prison, and he did most of his time at Fort Grant. I think that's the prison he was at. But anyway, so I was working at a different prison while he was locked up, right? So, 7 or 8 years go by, and then, so like, I'm now working at the private prison that I've talked about, CCA. So, I heard that he got out, so like, I ended up like seeing him. I don't remember where, but I ended up running into him. I think it was like a Little Caesars or something like that. And so he was all excited to see me, and I was happy to see him too. But I kind of knew like what kind of a dude he was, and I kind of knew he wasn't gonna stay out of trouble. So, we talked and everything was cool and everything, but he was like, he wanted me to come over and kick it with him, and I had already heard that he was like just terrorizing again, like doing all his crazy stuff again, right? So I tried to explain to him like, bro, I can't kick it with you because, I'm working at a federal detention center, and I got to maintain my clearance, for a U.S. Marshal clearance, for that contract, right? And for ICE and Homeland Security. But anyways, he was like, he wasn't trying to hear that, so he kept telling me like, nah, man, fuck that. If you need to come over and fucking party with me and this and that. But I just like kept telling him, nah, bro, I can't, so I ended up running into him a couple more times, and then like the last time I ran into him, he kind of got mad, and he was like, I see how it is. He's like, you're too fucking good to kick it with me now, and he's like, it's not like that, bro, but I'm just trying to like, tell you I can't. So anyways, like I didn't see him again for a while, but I was hearing about his exploits, right? And so like one of the things that I heard that he did, or actually, you know what? Let me backtrack. Before I almost forgot the most important part. So before I talk about his exploits once he got out, he actually told me what happened while he was locked up. So I think the first few years he was at Cimarron in Tucson, and I think everything was cool there. Like he had to put the smack down on a couple of fools, but as soon as he like showed what he was about, like nobody messed with him or whatever, right? But then for whatever reason, I think because he was too much trouble, they transferred him to Fort Grant, and so he beat up a few fools there, and then so like This is his words. This is how he explained it to me. So he said he was approached by some mafiosos. And I'm not going to say exactly, what crew or what organization. You guys can figure it out. They were Chicanos. He's a Chicano, right? So he said in his words they wanted to recruit him, like because they seen he's a big ass strong dude and he was about handling his business. He was just like beating fools down, because like I said, he was a Golden Gloves boxer till he got started getting in trouble, and he was also a really good wrestler in high school, right? So I guess the first couple times he just like told them, "No, I'm not interested. I'm just trying to do my time and get the fuck out of here." And but they were persistent, I guess, for whatever reason. Like they really wanted him. They wanted him as an enforcer. He would have made a perfect enforcer. So according to him, the third time they approached him, he basically, I don't know, he was kind of a crazy, outspoken dude. Not kind of, a real crazy dude. He was pretty nuts. Uh, when you guys hear some of the stuff he did when you get out, you'll see what I'm talking about. So anyway, he told them to get fucked. Those were his words. So, they were like, all right, it's like that. Okay. It's like that. I said, okay. So he knew they were going to come for him. So he said he got ready. He said he made himself some body armor, like with newspapers and magazines. Like they stuff them inside their jumpsuit or whatever, and it's pretty effective. It's body armor, right? And then he said he made himself a couple of weapons. He made himself a club out of I don't remember if he said a rolled up newspaper or rolled up magazines. What they do is they wet them, and then they probably tie something around it so it'll stay like, rolled up like real tight, and then it dries like really hard, like a freaking just like a hard ass club, right? And then I think he said he made himself a lock and a sock too. And so, I don't remember how long he said he waited, but when they came for him, he said there was three of them, and they came to his cell when he was in his house. That's what inmates, convicts call their cell. They call it their house, right? So they came for him, and he said they all had shanks, but he said they weren't that big. Luckily, the blades weren't that big. I guess they couldn't get a hold of any good steel, I guess. Luckily for him. So he said they started going at it, and he said they stabbed him up a bunch of times, but he said he was mostly trying to protect his neck and his face, right? Because those were like the only areas that he didn't have any protection. So he said mostly they stabbed him up to the body like a bunch of times, and like maybe one time in the face or a couple times in the face, but like nothing too serious, right? But he said he beat the fuck out of them. Like he said one of them he knocked like almost all his teeth out. Another one he broke his nose, and then the other one like broke a bunch of his ribs. So, but he was fucked up, pretty bad too. Like I think they broke a couple of his ribs, and like I said, they stabbed him up like all over, right? But none of the stabs were like too deep. But anyways, so it ended up getting broken up. A bunch of the COs came and they, sprayed them and everything, and cuffed them all up and shit. So he ended up going to the infirmary. He was fucked up pretty bad, and then they shipped him to like I don't remember what hospital, but he said he was locked up in some hospital for like maybe like he said like almost a month, maybe about 3.5 weeks. So when he came back, he had a PC up, and some of you like that don't know or just, I don't want to like talk shit like, like I'm this biggest tough guy around or anything, but some people that think they're tough guys or whatever, they'll be like, oh, what a fucking pussy, he PC'd up. But unless you've ever been in that man's shoes, unless you've been in a position where mafiosos got a hit on you, where they're gonna kill your ass, yeah, you might rethink that logic, because it doesn't matter how tough you are. He was a badass dude, like a real big badass dude, but it didn't matter. They were gonna keep coming for him until they killed his ass. So, basically he had no choice. Um, I don't think they would have even let him stay in GP anyways, because it's a liability or whatever. But so anyways, he had a PC up, and then so I think he said, I'm looking at my notes right here. So he did like maybe like his last couple of years in PC. He wasn't proud of it, but he said, "Fuck it, it is what it is." I did what I had to do. I put in my fight. They know I'm not a coward or a pussy, but they were gonna kill me if I stayed in GP. So, anyways, like I said, when he got out, we kept running into each other. He kept wanting to chill with me, and I still had a lot of love for homie and everything, but I was like, I can't, man. Like, I'm over here doing this, like, and he's telling me, oh, you're the fucking Huda now, like, you're a cop or whatever. But, like I told him, like, hey, man, I can't kick it with you. I'll lose my clearance. I'll lose my job. I can't kick it with the damn convicted felon. I forget how many felonies he had, but it was more than one, I think he was like one away from three strikes. But anyway, one of the things that I heard that he did was, for whatever reason, he ended up down at the church, St. Mary's Church. That's the church that I used to go to as a kid and as a teenager. And I've been there as a grown up too, but not in quite a while. But anyways, he ended up there somehow, and he was like drunk and high. And I don't know why he was at the church. Maybe some damn devils in him, like, he told him to go to church and start some crap with people. But I guess he was acting up, like, wasn't acting right. So one of the priests, like, told him he needed to leave. I guess like the first what do you call it, the deacons or whatever, the guys that are kind of like the security at church. They tried to get him to leave, and I guess he socked a couple of them up, laid them out. So the priest came over and tried to talk to him, and he ended up slapping the priest with an open hand and dropping him too. Yeah, I know that's this is one of the most messed up things he could do, right? To like a holy person. But anyway, so they ended up calling the cops, and I guess a couple of cops came at first, like 2 cops came, and he beat them up too. So they called for backup. Like 3 or 4 more cops came, and he ended up beating the shit out of all the cops. But they tased him, gassed him, and all kinds of shit, and they ended up basically like dogpiling on his ass, and they ended up taking him in, right? But I don't know, like, the system is a crazy thing. Like, I don't know how he ended up on the streets again, or I don't know if he was out on bail or if the damn jail was overcrowded or something, but for whatever reason, they let his crazy ass out. So he actually wanted to go back to prison. He decided, like, I guess a lot of dudes, they get institutionalized. They decide they like it better inside in the pen, right? Being out here in the real world just doesn't, they don't fit in, or they feel like they don't belong, I guess, So he was just doing all these different beer runs, and just like he would just walk in and tell the dude at the register, better stay the fuck back there. If you try to come out and stop me, I'm gonna fucking knock you out, And he was a big, scary looking dude, right? So most of the time they would just like be like, okay, like, be cool, So anyways, he ended up doing a beer run one night, and I guess he just decided, like, this was going to be the night he got locked back up, right? So what he did was he told the clerk, just like all the other ones, like, I guess he grabbed like a 12-pack of Heinekens or something like that. I guess that was his beer of choice for the night. And then he just walked out and told the clerk, if you try to stop me, I'm gonna beat your fucking ass. He goes, call the cops, tell them I'll be outside sitting on the fucking curb drinking my fucking beers, Yeah, for real, that's what he told them. So I guess he's sitting on the curb, drinking his Heinies, and then just like slam, throwing the bottles, breaking them, and just waiting for the popo to get there, you know. And it's crazy because the cop that actually happened to show up is one of my homies that I talked about in a previous video. Uh, his initials Q. That's his last name. Some of you might remember I did a video about one of my homies who's used to be a badass cop. He was a former air assault in the army, and he was on SWAT. He was a sniper on SWAT. Anyways, he was the one that showed up, and so like I guess he gets out and sees him sitting on the curb drinking his beers, and so he told him, turn around and put your hands on your fucking head, and I guess he was like, "Fuck you, pig, come get me," you know. So I guess Q, he kind of just like, I guess the way he spoke to him and approached him kind of let him know, like, I ain't gonna fucking play with you like these other cops, you know. So he got out his taser, and he basically told him, I ain't gonna try to fight you. I'm just gonna tase the fuck out of you, and if that ain't good enough, then I'm gonna get out this fucking extendable baton, and I'm gonna beat the shit out of you with this, you know. And so I guess he kind of respected that. He was like, "Oh, you're not a pussy like all those other cops I beat the shit out of, you know." And then he goes, "Nah," he goes, "I'll be cool with you because you're Raza, because he's he was a Chicano too, Q." So goes, "All right," he goes, "Let me just down this last beer, you know." So he downed this last Heine, and he turned around, got on his knees, put his hands behind his head, allowed himself to be cuffed, didn't put up any kind of fight. So he got him in the car, and then I guess they just started talking, and trying to remember how he came up in the conversation. I think he just started asking him what neighborhood he was from, and then who he knew and stuff. Just make a conversation with him. Q was asking him because he was being what do you call it? He was conversating with them. VR was, so he wasn't being hostile or anything, right? So somehow or another he mentioned my name, if he knew me. And it was funny because his reaction was, "Man, fuck that Huda." So he was he was mad at me still, and then he started telling Q, we used to be homies, and he fucking became a pig just like you, but at the prison, and fuck that Huda, we ain't homies no more, and this and that. But that was the last I heard about him. I don't know if he's still locked up. I don't know if he got out, and hopefully if he did, he's doing good and not acting all crazy anymore. But I might have some more stories about good old VR, the big Mexican gorilla. He was a crazy dude, and like I said, he was my big homie. He was cool as fuck. He was always, was cool with me, never did me dirty or he was always had my back. He was always trustworthy, right? But anyway, hope you guys like that story. That's it for now. I'm gonna do 2 videos this week again. The other one's gonna be a paranormal video. So for now, you guys take it easy. Take care of each other. Your homie Big Cisco. Oh, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're not already, and comment. All right, I love to read you guys' comments. All right. So for now, that's it. Your homie Big Cisco. Peace.